Hello and welcome. You're watching another edition of Nimasa This Week, the most reliable voice in the coverage of maritime issues here in Nigeria. My name is Iresiola Doyle and I am your regular host. Now, it was just 6 years ago that the former Nigerian Maritime Authority became the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency. And over a short period of time, Nimasa has witnessed quite a number of landmark events, some of which have only served to make the task set before the agency a bit more difficult. But all said and done, never before have the prospects been as good as they are at the moment. We'll take this short preview and we'll be back after the break.
The story of the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency Nimasa has, as should be expected, been a mixed bag of successes, challenges and prospects. Something could be said about a whole number of similar government agencies, the difference here being that the discourse revolves around the revolutionary efforts of Nimasa, the sole regulator of the most important sector of the country's economy, the maritime sector. The involvement of Nimasa from the ruins of the former Nigerian Maritime Authority (NMA) and Joint Maritime Labour Industrial Council (JOMALIC) was sealed through the promulgation of the Nimasa Act of 2007. With its legitimacy confirmed, the agency set out with gusto to pursue the realization of its primary responsibility, which remains the repositioning of the maritime sector with a view to empowering the indigenous stakeholders for exclusive control of local trade. In the course of the past 6 years since that transmutation, Nimasa, under the watch of a number of chief executives, has executed multiple blueprints in pursuit of this cardinal objective. Various levels of success has been recorded as a function of these policies, most notably in the area of increased awareness of activities and regularization of processes within the maritime sector. In like manner, a combination of negative factors, principally the rising spectre of piracy along Nigeria's waterways, has come to represent a cankerworm constantly attacking the very root of concerted efforts by Nimasa to make Nigeria a prime maritime nation. Also belonging to this unwelcome set of interventions, among others, is the oft-repeated issue of sharp practices among maritime operators, which has proved over time to be a sure revenue loser for both Nimasa and the government. Credit has been given and must continue to be ascribed to past leaderships of Nimasa for their sincere attempts at the implementation of the agency's mandate. However, something special just has to be said in respect of the audacious but very focused approach adopted by the current Director General of the agency, Ziakede Patrick Akpobolokemi, in tackling the aforementioned challenges confronting the agency as it pursues its statutory obligations. The results have been profound, deriving majorly from Mr. Akpobolokemi's all-out assault against sea robbery and piracy across the country's 853 kilometers of shoreline. His 1.5 year as Nimasa Director General has also seen increased activity in the area of engagement with maritime stakeholders. At the same time, Nimasa has also intensified efforts at exploring diverse ways of generating the personnel necessary for implementing its cabotage scheme. Discussion of Nimasa's prospects under its current chief executive cannot be complete without mentioning how well he has led the agency to key into the transformation agenda of the federal government. It is a new dawn at Nimasa, and every day that passes ushers in new hopes and expectations regarding the direction of the agency's programs and activities.
About a year ago, Ziakede Patrick Akpobolokemi took over the affairs at Nimasa with a firm commitment to leave the maritime sector better than he met it. And he's gone about this task in a style peculiarly all his own. While it may not have been extravagant, this style, measured against any and all parameters, has been quietly effective. In our feature piece this week, our field correspondent, Charles Ohaoku, tracks how the Nimasa DG has gone about superintending this quiet revolution.
Ziakede Patrick Akpobolokemi's 1.5 year in office as the Director General of the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency Nimasa has been characterized by a profound sense of timing and directness in the execution of projects and programs. Such practice of acting with dispatch, sometimes even at the risk of being branded unconventional, has singled out this DG and constitutes what he personally says must become the byword for everyone involved in trying to change the many misconceptions of Nigeria on the international scene. One of such misconceptions is the wrong notion that Nigeria is increasingly becoming a heaven for terrorists. Buried under the layers of the many functions of Nimasa is the desperate need to create the right atmosphere for foreign direct investment, something Mr. Corporateman says would be near impossible with sea criminals holding a free rein around Nigerian waters.
A situation where vessels are being attacked in our waterways or in the Nigerian maritime domain can no longer be tolerated. It is the desire of Nimasa to guarantee zero tolerance for any form of piracy, any form of sea robbery or criminality that either can endanger the lives of the people who operate in the river or would cause a loss or would result in hijacking of vessels or ships in our waterways. This cannot go any further without serious challenge on those that are involved in the criminal activities. Right now, we are in the threshold of deploying patrol vessels with the security agencies in giving the operators in the maritime domain the much needed peace, the much needed security, so that business activities in the sector can be operated without any fear, without any loss of life, or any hijack of any vessel or any ship. I think this is the time that we must come together in giving this cardinal objective its practical reality.
Various facts and figures from government ministries, departments and agencies have on a daily basis demonstrated the harmful effects of piracy on Nigeria's earnings from our import and export trade. To stem the tide of these losses, Nimasa has explored avenues for mitigation, including the procurement of high-speed, combat-ready interdiction vessels capable of engaging the pirates at their own game.
These boats are such that for any reason, if there's any piracy attack or any emergency where you need to get there quickly to save people who are under attack, these boats will serve very well because they're of the speed. And actually, this boat they will be used in such a way that it will key in. The reason is that there will be a mother ship, and these ships will actually come alongside the mother ship, which will be berthed somewhere off Ferry Boy. And if for any reason we will coordinate with the Rescue Coordination Center, and if there's any incident or there's any attack or there's any need for these boats to be detached from the mother ship to tackle the problem, they will do well.
In addition, the agency has in recent times entered MOU arrangements with the Navy and Air Force in order to facilitate the surveillance of the country's marine environment. The product of such collaboration is already being seen in the various arrests of the deviants and their equipment of crime. Nimasa's comprehensive fight against sea piracy is targeted at ridding Nigeria of the unwanted toga of a terrorist haven in the mode of Somalia, and in the process enhance the country's standing in the global maritime community. In order to consolidate the gains of the agency's cabotage activities at home, the Nimasa DG has, since assumption of office, maintained a consistent program of interaction with the indigenous stakeholders who are the primary targets of cabotage. Here, the DG explains exactly why this is necessary.
We are here because We want to learn from you. We also want to tell you some of our experiences in the maritime sector. We are here because we want to facilitate the process or the procedures that are involved in your business activities. We are here today because we want to create a peaceful maritime environment so that your business activities should go unmolested. We are also here because we want to help our indigenous people benefit at least from the coastal trade activities. We are also here because some illegalities that we've seen so far in the maritime domain or in our waterways should stop.
On the evidence of how much these stakeholders have responded to Nimasa's regular calls for interface, it has been a deeply rewarding venture.
They are on the right course. The right course is developing shipping, is creating employment, is generating funds.
I believe this new Director General has been here a year. He took his time to understand the industry, and I can see that he's making bold steps now to address relevant issues.
I think it's a very worthwhile exercise. It certainly lets everybody in the industry be aware of what Nimasa's role is and the implications for us all.
It bears repeating that Nimasa's mandate is both regulatory and promotional. As Nigeria's instrument of contact with the International Maritime Organization (IMO), Nimasa, under Mr. Akpoblokemi, has seized every opportunity at its disposal to domesticate various international maritime conventions for the development of Nigeria's maritime industry. The latest of such attempts was the gazetting of the IMO regulations on protection of the marine environment.
There are 12 conventions. Of the 12 conventions, 11 have their origin in the Merchant Shipping Act, and one has its origin in the Nimasa Act of 2007. So the regulations essentially give teeth to Nimasa to implement the various conventions and implement these conventions for the benefits of the maritime environment and for the benefits of the industry.
At the moment, Nigeria, in spite of our privileged position as a regional maritime power, still has a drastic shortfall in numbers of seafarers necessary to drive the cabotage scheme in an effective manner. Against that backdrop, the Akpoblokemi-led management of Nimasa not only inherited the National Seafarers Development Program launched in 2008, but has in the past 1.5 years expanded the scope of the project to include plans to establish institutes of marine studies in 4 Nigerian universities, as well as a college and University of Marine Studies also in the country.
Training people abroad, it's very capital intensive. It's highly capital intensive. So if we can establish maritime institutions in the country, it would be better for us. So in the meantime, we are about establishing 1 maritime university, 1 maritime science and technical college, and 4 institutes of maritime studies in 4 already established universities in the country. We are trying to interface with the universities simply because there are a lot of expertise in our various universities which we have not tapped. So by the establishment of these institutes in the university, definitely there will be the gap between academia and the industry will be breached.
Nimasa, under Ziakede Patrick Akpoblokemi, has pursued with vigor its many functions ranging from cabotage through shipping development on to registration of ships. But the agency as presently constituted is under no illusion that getting it right with recruitment of personnel remains the key to the effective discharge of its responsibilities.
Personnel Services Department plays a very critical role for the realization of the agency's objectives. It is the department that is saddled with the responsibility of recruiting the right caliber of staff that will help Nimasa implement its functions. It is also responsible for not only recruiting but training of this staff, which is very critical in the areas of ensuring that staff have the requisite qualifications, the required experience and competence to do their job.
We have very good work environment. The staff, the offices are well, are conducive for work to be achieved and, assist also in achieving the mandate of the agency. Then health-wise, there are good health packages for both the staff and their family. Then coming generally on specific incentives that keep staff satisfied. Promotion is one thing that is very important in a workplace, and I believe in this agency promotion is given as at when due, and payment of salary is also prompt.
On this week's edition, we're dedicating our entire news segment to the burial of the late Captain Romeo Itima. It was a very powerful delegation from Nimasa, led by the Executive Director, Cabotage Services, Barrister Callisto Zubi, that attended the final rites of the MD CEO, Global West.
The remains of the late Managing Director of Global West Vessels Specialist Limited, Captain Romeo Itima, were last weekend buried in his hometown of Baramatu in Delta State. A powerful delegation from the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, led by its Executive Director for Cabotage Services, Barrister Callisto Zubi, was present at the event to pay last respects to the Master Mariner. It was also a sober event for family, friends and relations of the late captain, whose company Global West is currently partnering with Nimasa in the campaign against sea robbery and piracy around the Niger Delta region of Nigeria. Captain Romeo Itima died in the course of duty over a month ago in Escravos, Delta State, after being dislodged into the sea when an interceptor vessel he was traveling in ran into a submerged breakwater.
May his soul rest in peace. Up next, we have our Maritime Cargo Report, which is basically a breakdown of cargo in ships expected to berth in ports within the Lagos Pilotage District this week. As always, this report is brought to us courtesy of the Shipping Development Department of Nimasa.
There are 8 motor vessels awaiting berth at Lagos Pilotage District this week. 3 of the vessels are conveying rice, with 1 each loaded with general cargo, fish, fertilizer, containers and palm oil. On the other hand, there are more motor tanker vessels lining up to be offloaded at Lagos Pilotage District this week. There are 19 vessels in all, out of which 13 are loaded with premium motor spirit PMS or petrol. 2 of them are carrying automated gas oil, AGO or diesel, while 1 vessel each has on board DPK or kerosene, butane gas, base oil and jet A1 or aviation fuel.
And finally, we come to the part of the show dedicated solely to responding to your questions and comments.
The first question comes from Austin Alex, and it says, I want to acknowledge that your Nimasa program on television is highly interesting. I was opportune to have a glimpse of it before it ended last week. Please, can I get the website or telephone numbers of Nimasa? Nimasa says, thanks Alex for your commendation. Do make a date with the program every Thursday at 7:30 p.m. on Channels Television for new episodes. Meanwhile, our website is www.nimasa.gov.nj and you will find all you need to know from there. The second question is from Paul Ifeanyi of Maersk Group, and it goes, what has Nimasa done to improve the only degree awarding university in maritime management technology, that is Federal University of Technology, Owerri? Are there measures to promote the Transport Management Professional Masters in UNILAG? Well, the answer to your question, Paul, is that Nimasa is very passionate about building capacity for the industry and has always supported institutions training professionals for the sector, including FUTO Owerri. the agency has commenced the establishment of an Institute of Maritime Studies in Unilag with an initial budgetary provision of 1 billion naira, and the same is being done in 3 other universities across the country. Nimasa will consider other institutions in the next phase of this program, and we assure you that more universities will be supported as the resources available may warrant. Jude Agep writes in from Calabar and wants to know why a big institution like Nimasa with offices in all the littoral states cannot decentralize its processes to make things easier for the stakeholders. Jude, Nimasa's response to your question is that decentralization is a priority of the current administration of Ziakede Patrick Akpoblokemi because of his belief that it will bring about more efficiency in the agency's processes. As a result, management is pursuing an automation of the agency's processes to make it more effective in the discharge of its responsibilities to the stakeholders. The result of this re-engineering process would soon be made manifest for all to see.
And that brings us to the end of this week's edition. Now, don't forget, keep your questions and comments coming. All you need to do is send them to the email addresses currently showing on your screen. As always, till I see you same time next week, same station, I'm wishing you smooth sailing and bon voyage. Nnamdi Buaja, who resides in Enugu, and he says, your TV program is very good. A lot of us do not know the activities and functions of Nimasa, but with this program, we should be able to understand and appreciate the agency better. Keep up the good work. And finally, we have a question coming from John Dixon, who resides in Lagos, and his question reads, what is Nimasa doing to enforce the implementation of the Cabotage Act in order to eliminate foreigners in our coastal trade? The answer is, the provisions of the Cabotage Act presently makes it difficult to completely eliminate foreigners from our coastal trade. However, the law is being considered for amendment in the National Assembly, and Nimasa has made its input to make the law more effective. Nimasa is also planning to organize an all-inclusive stakeholders forum on the implementation of the Cabotage Act in September this year, which will include oil majors, shipping companies, and other operators in the industry, and draw up an MOU on the implementation, which the agency will enforce to the letter. We'd like to thank you very much for your comments and your questions, and we encourage you to keep them coming. Just send them to the email addresses showing on your screen. Now, that's our edition for this week. I hope you found it very enlightening. Until I see you again, same time, same station, I'm wishing you smooth sailing and bon voyage.